When those wings opened, my body was like, bitch, what the fuck? Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. If you are new, my name is Sierra. However, if you're returning because you see that I have a new video up, thank you so much for returning. But before we get started, if you want to hit that subscribe button right there, if you're new, hit the button, join the family, and also turn on your notifications. Do that now. I will give you guys like a quick 10 seconds. Alright, that was 10 in my head. I don't know about you guys, but it was 10 in my head. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about my IUD. Yay! I just wanted to make this video just because I know whenever I was going through the process of deciding if I wanted to get an IUD, YouTube was a very like, I use YouTube as one of my main pieces of information along with Google and stuff like that, but I really wanted to hear other people's experiences, their pros and cons, pain level on a real serious tip, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm just going to walk you through like my decision on why I wanted to get an IUD, the process, insertion process, if it was painful or not, and just, you know, the aftermath of everything. So let's just get started. So as far as why I wanted to get an IUD, I was originally on the pill. I can't remember which brands that I was on, but at one point I was on name brand, but that was given to me like back at home. And then whenever I came to college and the CVS's around me, they didn't have that brand, so I had to switch to another brand, and then I switched to another brand after that. But nonetheless, it was still the same products, it was still the same active ingredients and all the rest of that. However, I want to say so I started my birth control my freshman year of college. However, it was around, if you want to say, my senior year and me graduating that I realized that, you know, my moods were getting a little bit funkier, my thoughts were getting a little bit darker, and also my periods were getting way longer. So I went from obviously having like a period when you're on your pill, sometimes it can be 4 days, sometimes it can be a week, but for me, I had a period for 4 days and that was it. And I went from 4 days to a week to 2 weeks to, at one point, honestly, I was on my period for 3 weeks out of the whole month, and I'm not even like exaggerating about that. I literally only had 1 week in between, and then I would start my period back again. So it was really becoming worrisome. However, I was young, I kind of was just like, I don't feel like going to gynecologist. I'm not going, you know, I'm fine. No, I wasn't fine. So I really started to develop really big blood clots. It was to the point where, honestly, and this may be TMI, but I would be sitting just regular and I could feel the blood clot coming down and like leaking out of me and onto my underwear, because that's how big it was. And even if I was like on the toilet and I was just sitting there, I could literally feel big blood clots coming out and plopping into the toilet. So it was at that point where, you know, the blood clots were really like, you want to say a penny size, dime size, and it became a nickel, and at one point it was a quarter and bigger. I was like, oh, I need to stop. And you know, at that moment I wasn't in any relationship, I wasn't sexually active whatsoever, so I was just kind of like, you know, I'm just going to stop on my period. And the reason why I initially did start was because of my cramps used to be insane. So I was just like, you know what, you're just going to have to get, you know, the highest strength of Tylenol and call it a day. Fast forward, I already met my current boyfriend, but we decided to get serious, and you know, I knew I didn't want to go back on the pill at all. However, I did know that you gotta be safe, you know. Scheduled my gynecologist appointment, and originally I was thinking about getting the implant in your arm or anything else, but my mom was just like, you need to just get an IUD. And I'm like, okay, I'll just get an IUD then. So I started initially just researching IUDs, and if you don't know already, there may be more, but I know that the three main ones are Mirena, Kyleena, and Skyla. Now I have Skyla, and Skyla is a 3-year IUD. Kyleena, is a 5-year IUD, and Mirena is the 10-year IUD. Now I originally went in, I didn't even know which IUD I wanted. I just knew I needed the IUD. So after speaking with my gynecologist for a little bit, she was just like, hey, we're just going to get the Skyla. It's 3 years. If you don't, if you know, after 3 years is up, you still decide you don't want children, you can get a Skyla again. It'll just be another 3 years, and so on and so forth. Quick sidebar why she suggested that. It was because I am young. I have never had children at all. And also, again, it's just still that, hey, you never know if in 3 years you do want to have children and stuff like that. And also, it is smaller, I believe, than all of the other 2 options. Now, I know that if you have had children and stuff like that, and you're a little bit older, they will automatically just kind of recommend the Mirena for you, just because of the size and all the rest of that stuff. As far as the Kyleena, I don't even know. Like, at the time that I got my IUD, Kyleena wasn't really that popular, so it was only Skyla or Mirena, so obviously I chose Skyla. So fast forward, I scheduled my appointment for insertion. Before I even went in, obviously I researched it. However, you get so many mixed opinions, but you don't really know people's tolerance of pain. So you had people saying, oh, it was quick, you barely feel it, and you had people saying, hey, I almost passed out. So I went in with so much anxiety because I was just like, I mean, I have piercings, I had tattoos on my ribs, but y'all are talking like this is some other type of pain. So I was really actually very nervous going in, to the point where like my gynecologist had to be like, yo, calm down, it's fine. And I like calmed down because she was like, I inserted this into my daughter, you'll be fine. I was like, oh, all right, I'm in good hands. Especially since you hear horror stories of people having it inserted wrong, getting caught in their uterine lining, falling out, getting pregnant because it was inserted wrong. I was like, I need to know I am in good hands, because I swear to goodness, none of that better happen to me. So I go to my appointment, I'm nervous, they have you pee in a cup, make sure you're not pregnant, all the rest of that. And I'm laying down on the table, you put your legs up and stuff like that. And from what I can remember, she obviously went in, with her hand, just to make sure that where she should implant it, and just making sure that my uterus, it was still where it needs to be or something like that. She made sure everything was good. She was like, all right. So I see her, taking it out, and I see her put on the surgical gloves and stuff like that. And the first thing she did, of course, was open me up. Cool, I was fine, I'm like, oh, this is kind of like a regular pap smear. And then what else did she do? She opened me up, and then I felt her open up my cervix, or whatever she did. What was it called? I can't remember the exact term that was done, but it was pretty much when they opened up like another part of the vagina or the cervix or something like that. All right, at that point I was like, whoo. All right, she kept saying, relax, relax, it'll be over before you know it, just relax. And I'm like, okay. Mind you, I went in by myself, it was just me. I didn't have anyone with me or anything like that. I didn't even have anyone drive me. So I'm laying there, and I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. She was like, all right, just breathe. That's all she kept telling me, was just breathe. And I felt her put the tube into my cervix, and then next thing you know, I felt, I'm not even kidding, the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Like, it was, for me personally, it felt like a really, 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 really bad cramp. As soon as she put it in and the wings opened, it wasn't even her putting it in, it was when those wings opened, my body was like, bitch, what the fuck? Like, honestly. And I literally was like, oh my god. Like, that's what I said. I said that out loud. I was like, ow. And then it just got increasingly worse as the wings were opening, and I was just like, fuck, oh my god. I literally said that, and she was like, it's okay, it's gonna be over, it's gonna subside. I'm like, not even kidding. I was just like, ooh. Like, I was like telling myself, Cece, breathe, do not pass out on this table, breathe. And honestly, thinking back, even now, like, it was honestly only about maybe 10 seconds, if that. It may have been 5, it felt like 10, but it was the worst pain ever. Like it hurt for me personally. Again, I have tattoos, I have piercings everywhere on my body, but that was the worst pain I've ever felt ever in my life. And obviously it's because it's in a sensitive area and your cervix is doing whatever it's doing down there. Nonetheless, 5 seconds passed and the pain just subsided, and I just like laid there, was just kind of like, oh, but I was happy it was over, like, honestly. And you know, I was able, she's like told me to lay down for a little bit. She's like, I don't want you passing out, lay down for a minute, do you need some water? She got me some water, and you know, she got me a pad because she was like, hey, you're going to bleed you know, for a few days afterwards, so just make sure you wear a pad. Cool beans. So I get up, you know, I walk out. It did feel a little bit weird, honestly, the first day. However, I honestly went to work. Right after, I like laid down for a little bit, got up, and I went to work, and I was perfectly fine. And my job at the time was a pharmacy tech, so I was on my feet all day. I didn't feel any pain that first day. I was like, oh, this is lit, I'm fine. They are right, you can just go right to work afterward. Fast forward, the next day, honestly, the next 2 days for me were kind of rough, just because I think that was when my body was officially like, oh, you have something in it that I don't want in here. Why is this here? So that's when I really started cramping up really bad. I would just get sharp moments of pain, and yeah, like the next 2 days were really very rough, to the point where like I had to go home early at one point, and my pharmacist, again, I was a pharmacy tech, had to give me like an 800 like Advil and be like, you need to go home. So I will say that the insertion process is, while quick, for some people, for me in general, it was, it hurt. It really did. However, I can't say that it was like, oh my god, I'm dying. No, it definitely wasn't like that. However, the insertion process did hurt. I'm not even gonna lie. It was quick, but it did hurt. And as far as recovery, the next few days, minor cramping, some really big cramps at moments. However, I will say, like, after a week, my body did adjust. As far as the long term and like the maintenance of it and everything like that, it was only, I feel like within my first year, there would be moments when whenever my body would want, like, I knew my period would start, because sometimes I would get like this sharp pain that just felt like somebody was like sticking a knife into me. I'm not kidding. Like, there were moments when I was doubled over in pain, because it was like, oh my god. But that was, again, was within my first year I got those. Now in like my second almost third year, expires for me next year, 2020, in April. So I am almost through it. As far as like my periods, honestly, at this point, again, my first year, my periods were kind of the same, like 7 days a week. Cramps, again, I really didn't get cramps unless randomly 1 month I would get like that sharp pain. Yeah, however, like I wouldn't really get cramps. And like, as far as bleeding was concerned, it was regular bleeding. I wouldn't go through tampons or anything like that, honestly. As I got closer to my second year, my periods did subside a lot. I would barely have any periods, honestly. There would be months where I wouldn't have a period, and I would be really concerned, like, okay, am I that 1% that will get pregnant? So if you are thinking about getting it, or if you do have it and you're like kind of concerned about that, that's completely normal. For me, at least, it was very normal. Again, I may go through 2 months of not having a period, and then have a period, and it's barely like a period. It's like 3 days worth of blood or something like that, not a lot. And just as you know, I'm nearing my end, I honestly haven't had any other complications with it. I haven't had any other pain. I can still feel my strings. You know, I do recommend that if you are going to get it, always constantly check to make sure that you can feel your strings. Whether you want to go in, you know, and feel them yourself, or if you do have a partner, have them go in and feel it for you. Or if you don't have either, you know, you don't have a partner and you don't want to do that, you know, go to your gynecologist for a checkup. Even if it's not the regular, you know, yearly checkup, just go and say, hey, can you check to make sure my strings are still there? You do have a checkup though after, I think my checkup was 6 weeks after or something like that, just to make sure the strings were there and just to make sure that the strings were laying down, because the idea is that when you first get your IUD inserted, the strings will just stick out like that, like just literally just stick straight out. However, the idea is that over time, I think she said something like the mucus within your vaginal walls or something like that would lay the strings down flat, so that, you know, whenever you are having sexual intercourse, you won't feel, or your partner, if your partner is the male, will not feel those strings or anything like that. I would say to always check for your strings. I know I make my boyfriend check for my strings periodically, and honestly, sometimes when we are having sex, he does feel the strings and he's like, ah, I feel the strings, babe. Literally that's what he says. So yeah, I would just make sure you do that. And yeah, honestly, I haven't had any other complications though. It's been a really smooth journey for me. I feel like this was the best option, honestly, especially for the Skyla. It was the, you know, little hormones I don't need. Personally, if you're a type of person where you feel as though your previous birth control had too much hormones, I would so recommend Skyla, even though it is like every 3 years and it may be a burden and stuff like that. And just thinking about next year having to get it taken out and put back in, I am just a little bit like, but honestly, it's been a really good birth control for me. You know, like I said before, when I was on the pill, I had extremely dark thoughts to the point where it scared me, and that was also one of the main reasons why I stopped, along with the blood clots. But that was too, especially since, you know, life, and I don't need to be having clots like that. I really don't. I feel like Skyla really, like, obviously there are hormones in there, obviously. However, it's such a low dose that, like, even in my moodiest moments, I'm not like super moody or anything like that. So it's been good. I have no complaints with my IUD at all. Like, I know, especially when you're looking it up, there are a lot of reviews where people are like, oh, I took it out, it just da 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 da, and you know, that they may have had a bad experience with it, but personally I haven't. And maybe it's because my gynecologist inserted it the right way. I don't know, you know, I can't really say that for sure, but what I can say is that I would definitely recommend it. Obviously, still, if you're like thinking about it, still continue to do your research, still continue to, you know, obviously talk to your gynecologist. They are there for a reason, to really talk you through to make the best decision for you, whether it is, you know, an IUD, or it's the implant in your arm, or it's just a pill, or it's the patch, you know, whatever it may be. Definitely still talk to your gynecologist, because at the end of the day, you know, a Google search is only goes so far, and you gotta ask your doctor, you know, and have that discussion with them. But yeah, I don't have any worries. This is my, I guess you want to say, like I said, this is my 2.5 year checkup, and you know, I don't know if I'll get Skyla again. Maybe I'll get Kylena, just because it is a 5-year one, but I guess with that comes another pain level that I may not be ready for, so I probably will get Skyla again. But yeah, so that's been my journey with my IUD. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I would definitely answer them, whether it's like, again, more questions about the insertion process, or even hormones and stuff like that. Whatever questions that you may have that I like feel like I can answer, I will definitely answer if you leave them down in the comments. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was a little bit informative, or at least if you are about to get your IUD, you know, it relaxes your nerves just a little bit. Like I said, for me, it did hurt. And, you know, I did take Tylenol before and all the rest of that. It still hurt. However, it was honestly like 5 seconds, and I can honestly just describe it as just a really sharp pain or sharp cramp. But that was just my experience. Like I said, I would definitely get it again. But if you are, you know, your appointment's coming up, just relax. You're gonna get through it. you're going to like look back and be like, why was I so nervous about it? You know, it's just relax. I feel like that's the one thing that I really didn't do, which may have honestly made the pain, increase the pain even more, because I wasn't relaxed. So relax, take your deep breaths. It will be over before you know it. And yeah, so like I said, if you have any comments, please leave them down below. And yeah, if you're a makeup girl, if you like makeup, check out my recent video. Like, bruh, it's going to be right here somewhere. Check it out, okay? Join the family, and don't forget to subscribe. If you want to see me again, subscribe and turn on notifications. Subscribe, notifications. No, but yeah, I hope, like I said, that this was informative and that I provided some type of relief for anyone who is about to get their IUD inserted. As I stated, it's going to be okay. Honestly, I can't stress it enough to not stress and to really just be calm and relax. And like I said, ask as many questions as you can to your gynecologist. Even ask your gynecologist, hey, have you done this before? I feel like that is another very valid question that, you know, I don't think that they should be you know, offended about. Definitely ask if you feel as though, you know, you're getting a little bit of weird vibes from your gynecologist, ask, hey, have you inserted IUD before? And if they say something like, hey, no, you're my first one, you know, I would find another one personally, just because, again, a lot of things can go wrong. So again, just do your research. I hope that I provided some type of relief for anyone. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments and I'll definitely answer them to the best of my ability. Otherwise, I hope I see you guys at my next video. Bye.